Hello, BookTube. All right, we're going to try this again. In our last thrilling installment, I had 2 books in a mail haul and a book catalog for the spring. And the 2 books went fine, and then the catalog derailed us completely. It was the University of Chicago Press. The catalog was enormous. I was geeking out on every page. The video went on to 4 hours in length. We didn't even get through the catalog. Today, we're going to try that same combination, and we're going to get through it in a normal video length in a completely controlled manner. I have 2 book packages and a catalog. So we'll do the first book package. It's small. It might be a mass market paperback, which would be a nice way to start the mail haul, that's for sure. Let's see what we have here. It is a mass market paperback. It's a romance. Oh, very good. Okay, so this comes out at the end of December. That's good. I actually hate admitting this. I always mock it every year. But December, this in 2017, is turning out to be a bit of a dry month for reviewable books. So any December title I can get, I'm happy with. And this is If Ever I Should Love You by Kathy Maxwell, a spinster heiress novel. And the setback is this right there. And the title is, of course, as the theater geeks among you will know, the title is, of course, a play on Camelot, on the treacly love song, If Ever I Would Leave You, It Wouldn't Be in Springtime. It was the song that Lancelot sings to Guinevere, If Ever I Would Leave You, where in the classic hammy old Broadway way, he itemizes, well, if ever I was going to leave you, it wouldn't be in summer, knowing how in summer I'm bewitched by you. So if I wouldn't be in autumn, it wouldn't be in winter, because in winter you're glowing with cold beauty. It wouldn't be in the spring, and it of course ends with Lancelot singing, "No, never would I leave you at all." It's rather tooth grinding, but endearing in its way, as is everything in Camelot. So what have we got here? I'm seeing a long barn in the background, not a Regency mansion. Could this be set in America? He's inherited a title, but not a penny to speak of. So the Earl of Rochdale knows he must find a wife, preferably one tolerably pretty and good-tempered, but definitely wealthy, and who will exchange her fortune for his family name. His choice? Leonie Charnock, one of the season's spinster heiresses. Years before, the Earl had saved the dark-eyed beauty's reputation, and she is still breathtakingly lovely, leading Rochdale to hope that their marriage will be more than in name only. However, Leonie doesn't want to be anyone's wife. Nearly destroyed by the secrets of her past, Leonie agrees to their union with one condition. There will be a wedding, but no bedding. I went through that a couple of times with Deb. She did the Marrying the Duke series, which there was A Date at the Altar, the fairest of them all, and the first of the Marrying the Duke series was called The Match of the Century. I don't know if you'll be able to make out the cover here. It's that cover right there. And that was an utterly delightful book. I like the other 2 books in the series, but that first one, The Match of the Century, was utterly delightful. And I don't know, is this the first spinster heiress? Yes, it is. This is the first one. All right. So this is the beginning of a series. Kathy Maxwell is well worth your time. Of course, those of you who read romances will already know that. But anyway, let's move on to the next one. This is the next package here. It's been heavily taped for its trip to Venus. Oh, great. Oh, wonderful. I requested this because it sounded so interesting. This comes out in March. Wait until you hear this. It's called The Island That Disappeared by Tom Fielding. Wait till you hear this description. It just knocked me out. Few people today know the story of the passengers aboard the Seaflower, who in 1630 founded a rival Puritan colony on an isolated Caribbean island called Providence. They were convinced that England's empire would not rise in cold and barren New England, but rather in tropical Central America. The sea flower, not the Mayflower. Tell me that doesn't made up. That doesn't sound made up. And they find an island called Providence and start a colony there. However, it became a colony in constant crisis. Crops failed, slaves revolted, and then there were the pirates. And as Tom Fielding... oh, no, his name's not Tom Fielding. Sorry, that was a bit of a slip on my part. It's Tom Feeling. Tom Feeling discovers in this surprising history the same drama was played out by the men and women who resettled the island 100 years later. The island that disappeared presents Providence as a fascinating microcosm of colonialism. Even today, at first glance, this is the island of devout churchgoers, but look a little closer and you see that it's still dependent on its smugglers. At once intimate and global, this story of Puritans and pirates goes to the heart of the contradictory nature of the Caribbean and how the Western world took shape. This is about the creation myth of the United States begins with the plucky English Puritans who arrived on the Mayflower. But what about the story of its sister ship, the Seaflower? I have never read a book on that subject. How incredibly interesting. So, this will depend a lot on the novelty of the subject matter, and then, of course, the rest will be up to the author. But that's just wonderful. The Seaflower, the sister ship of the Mayflower, I ask you. So those are the two books, and then we have a catalog. This time around, it's basic books, who I love. So this is their spring catalog. We'll go through it at a far brisker pace than we did the one half of the Chicago Press catalog. So the first book is The Truth About Animals by Lucy Cook. The subtitle is Stoned Sloths, Lovelorn Hippos, and Other Tales from the Wild Side of Wildlife. But you can tell already from that subtitle that these are not tales from the wild side of wildlife. These are tales from the human side of wildlife. Humans have gone to the moon and discovered the Higgs boson. But when it comes to understanding animals, we've still got a long way to go. Whether we're watching a viral video of romping baby pandas or a picture of penguins, quote, holding hands, it's hard for us not to project our own values, innocence, fidelity, temperance, hard work, onto animals. So you've probably never considered if moose get drunk, penguins cheat on their mates, or worker ants lay about. They do, and that's just for starters. Okay. All right. Well, books like this serve a purpose. The key here is that there is no difference. The key here, of course, has been intuitively obvious for 5,000 years. The key is that we are one species. There's no ladder. There's no upper story to the house. We're one species among many other species. All species have freakish abilities of one kind or another, and especially the ones that have survived all this time. Ours is an extremely developed forebrain, and that's it. You might think that ours is all the usual list of what is listed as the things, the crowning glories of humanity. But actually, all of those things derive just from that one evolutionary change, that one part of the brain that grew enormously quickly, which is why the human birth canal did not evolve as quickly. So this is why human birth is so dangerous and so painful. But that's it. Aside from the one thing that evolutionary ability allows us to do that's different from any other animal species is say that evolutionary ability makes us different. It allows us to say that. It allows us to create technology that can enforce that. But that's all. Love, empathy, altruism. Those are all complex species feel those things, and the sooner that ethology is put on a completely even basis, the better. Now, you might think that I would say that for that reason, a book like this is harmful, because it's telling you that the truth about animals revolves around how much they're like humans, and that is the reverse of what the thinking should be. But actually, these books do a lot of good because they get their readers to start thinking about animals in unconventional ways. They get their readers to stop thinking about animals as servant machines, as far lesser beings, and that's good. Any book that does that is good, even if I wish they didn't do it in such a cheesy way. We've got a couple of biology, politics books. A couple of business books. You don't need to dwell on those. Oh, look at that. Oh, promising book called Also Human. The Inner Lives of Doctors. That could be very interesting. Okay, great. We're going to keep going along here. Oh, what's this? Oh, look at that. Atticus Finch, the biography. By Joseph Crespino. The publication of Go Set a Watchman in 2015 forever changed how we think about Atticus Finch. That's true. I remember how mad I was. But I have reread Go Set a Watchman and revised what I think about it. I don't know even now if I should abandon anger completely. I'd be very interested if I could skip forward 50 years and learn what the actual truth is about the genesis of that book. But the content of the book is the stuff I hated when it originally appeared, and now I think of it as a thrilling challenge. But anyway, once seen as a paragon of decency, he was reduced to a small-town racist. How are we to understand this transformation? In Atticus Finch, historian Joseph Crespino draws on exclusive sources to reveal how Harper Lee's father provided the central inspiration for each of her books. A lawyer and newspaperman, A.C. Lee was a principled opponent of mob rule, yet he was also a racial paternalist. Harper Lee created the Atticus of Watchmen out of the ambivalence she felt towards white Southerners like him. Wow, so this is a biography of Harper Lee's father. But it's called Atticus Finch, the biography. Okay, all right. Okay, a couple more books on the absolute collapse of American democracy. You're gonna have to make do for those. Oh my! Oh, look at that. There's one here by Philip Dray called The Fair Chase, an epic history of hunting in America. In the 19th century, hunting was popularized as a cure for the softness of urban life. The hunting code of ethics, known as fair chase, became a kind of worldview almost overnight, permanently embedding in our culture certain ideals of independence, fairness, manliness, and resourcefulness, as well as promoting the romance of the West. But hunting is also entwined with some of the more fraught aspects of human history, including the appropriation of Native American culture, manifest destiny, and even eugenics and social Darwinism. The fair chase. Lovely. Yes. Because it's completely fair, of course. Yeah. Well, this is a 400-page history that comes out in May. I will certainly read it. But there's nothing fair about hunting an animal with a gun. Obviously, if you go on YouTube and you have a stomach for it, you can see videos today of treed bears, treed cougars, where the hunter has not only a gun, but a pack of well-trained dogs. You want a fair chase, then, as a human, you go out and try and hunt something and see what happens. There's nothing fair about it at all. Nothing whatsoever. YouTube is full of videos of animals being slaughtered by cowards with guns. So, but the social aspects that are mentioned in the latter half of the description of the book sound fascinating. So we'll give that a try. And there's also a new book, Hadrian's Wall, by Adrian Goldsworthy, who's a very good historian. This is a story of Hadrian's Wall. The definitive history of Hadrian's Wall, it says, but the book is 192 pages long. Okay, all right. Why honor matters? The controversial call to put honor at the center of morality. Okay, all right. What have we got here? Oh, look at that. Okay, this is the book from the cover. Buzz by Thor Hansen. Subtitled The Nature and Necessity of Bees. Bees are like oxygen, ubiquitous, essential, and, for the most part, unseen. While we might overlook them, they lie at the heart of relationships that bind the human and natural worlds. In Buzz, the author takes us on a journey that begins 125 million years ago, when a wasp first dared to feed pollen to its young. From honeybees and bumblebees to lesser-known diggers, miners, leafcutters, and masons, bees have long been central to our harvests, our mythologies, and our very existence. They've given us sweetness and light, the beauty of flowers, and as much as a third of the foodstuffs we eat. And alarmingly, they are at risk of disappearing. Wow. Okay, that comes out in July, and it's 300 pages long. And it's going to be a little bittersweet for me. I once knew an old lady who didn't like bees at all. And I'm sure that I'm going to be reminded of her on every page of that book. And it's not the book's fault, so I'll try and keep it to a minimum. Let's see. Oh my. Oh, goodness. In May, at 400 pages, Chernobyl by Serhiy Plokhy, who has done so many good books. He's such a great writer. This is the history of a nuclear catastrophe. On the morning of April 26, 1986, Europe witnessed the worst nuclear disaster in history, the explosion of a reactor at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Soviet Ukraine. Dozens died of radiation poisoning, fallout contaminated half the continent, and thousands fell ill. Oh my, a new definitive history of Chernobyl. Oh my God, you know this is going to get reviewed everywhere. This is the first book we've seen in the catalog so far that absolutely no review editor of any stature anywhere in the Western world is going to ignore this thing. I wonder if Basic Books knows that. I wonder if they have anybody consulting their staff who can read the tea leaves like that, or if they're maybe all locked inside the world of publishing without ever putting a foot in the world of reviewing. I should probably drop an email to the publicist involved, because that is going to get reviewed everywhere. They should prepare themselves. It's going to get a huge amount of attention. Oh my. I will try to do it myself. That would be great. Book on math. There's a book by Lawrence Tribe and Joshua Matz called To End a Presidency, The Power of Impeachment. There are authors, Lawrence Tribe and Joshua Matz. Comes out in May. To End a Presidency addresses one of today's most urgent questions, when and whether to impeach a president. It's not urgent. It's not germane in any way. It will never be a practical question. Unfortunately, I wish it were, but all these books on impeachment, that's like the 6th one that I've seen in the last 6 months, and they're all completely useless. They're just wish fulfillment. That's all. They're just dreaming. And that's too bad. A book on by Jay Cost called The Price of Greatness. There's Hamilton Madison. So a Revolutionary Era book. That's always good. Another book on math. Goodness gracious. Another book on the end of democracy. Yeesh. A book on quantum physics. What is real? The unfinished quest for the meaning of quantum physics. Another book on physics. And then we get to the paperbacks. And that's good because I've reviewed a lot of basic books in 2017. Here's hoping. Okay. First one is An Iron Wind, which was incredibly good. An amazingly good book. I reviewed it. I think I reviewed it for Open Letters, and I'm not blurbed. I'll try and remember to leave my review down below. It's tremendously good. What else have we got here? Rigor Mortis on Sloppy Science, Urban Crisis. What? That's it? Oh my God, that's it for the paperbacks. That wasn't. Oh, that is so partial. Basic Books didn't have just 10 paperbacks. In the spring, they'll come out with 3 times that many. Oh, that was so Oh, all right. Well, anyway, I didn't do well in the paperback section, and then they just rounded out with highlights, which is kind of James Traub's book on John Quincy Adams, which I loved. Robin Lane Fox's book on St. Augustine, which I loved. Coyote America, which I loved. I don't know why these things aren't. Maybe they're in between, in the limbo in between paperback and hardcover. I don't know. And then they go into older books. Okay, so that is the Basic Books calendar or catalog. So we have that, and I mean, there was a lot of interesting stuff in there, but I think hands down, head and shoulders above the others, is a big new history of the Chernobyl disaster by one of the greatest historians of all things Russian working today. That I think that probably wins for me. So we've got the Basic Books catalog, The Island That Disappeared, about the Mayflower's sister ship, and If Ever I Should Love You by the great Kathy Maxwell. So there we go. We did it a little bit shorter this time around. I know you people don't care. You'd let me talk for an hour. But the last video, the uncontrolledness of the ending, which just had to stop, kind of bugged me. So this is a little bit neater, and we'll see. Maybe we'll have the same thing happen tomorrow. I'm getting catalogs. That's great. I love catalogs. But in the meantime, I'll wrap this up, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.